This is your meeting minute for the Select Board's June 30th meeting in the Novak Room. For the first agenda item, Public Works Director Steve Cronin was back at the mic to update the board on the status of the closed Park Street Bridge. Shut down by the state in February due to structural deficiencies, the bridge has remained closed. Director Cronin was joined by Julia Avenant of New Hampshire DOT to give an update on where the state stands. Investigation done by the state revealed that the Park Street Bridge was not in fact owned by the state, but rather by railroad company CSX.
The bridge ownership in that MOU was meant to have been transferred from the railroad to the town, but we cannot find any documentation of that, and we've discussed that with Steve, and it doesn't sound like the town has that either. So the railroad did change ownership, as the previous speaker addressed. It was B&M, then it became Pan Am, then that was purchased by CSX in 2022. So if that transfer occurred, it could have been lost, but emails and correspondence we have with CSX, they acknowledge that they own this bridge.
A bit of a surprise to us as well. There was a town meeting action, I believe, back in 2001, where the town voted to execute the memorandum of understanding. The deed was never transferred, at least from what we can tell. So even though there was the intent on behalf of the town to take ownership of the bridge, somehow fell through the cracks. We, through our deed research, have not been able to locate that deed at the registry showing the town as owners. So again, even though the MOU states that there was an intent to transfer to the town, legally it doesn't appear that that has happened.
New Hampshire DOT went on to explain the status of the bridge as fracture critical.
This bridge is what's known as a non-redundant steel tension member structure, and that's more commonly known as fracture critical. And that just means that some of the supporting elements don't have any redundancy. If one of them fails, then the whole bridge is at risk of collapse.
Due to the type of bridge, representatives from New Hampshire DOT stated that the bridge is not a candidate for rehabilitation, and that CSX wishes to move forward with removing the bridge. New Hampshire DOT will conduct an environmental documentation and historic mitigation for the removal of the bridge. The process will take around 6 months, at which point CSX may be ready to move forward with the removal of the bridge in the spring or summer of 2026. Discussion then turned to the town water line which goes across the bridge, as it would need to be terminated if the bridge removal proceeds, as well as the discontinuation of the roadway, which can only be done through Exeter town meeting. The public also spoke about their concerns.
Or would you consider adding some sort of a study that would analyze the traffic impact of not having the bridge there anymore?
It is a historical part of Park Street, and I live on one side of Park Street. My joke is I live on the other side of the tracks. Took the bridge out, I'd really live on the other side of the tracks. And it's not just an inconvenience, it's just changing the character of the neighborhood.
I remember that we use that bridge a lot we go on these little fun walking field trips, and when we were younger, our legs got tired really easily, and it was a shortcut to get to the Main Street playground.
The board has tasked town staff to continue working with the state and CSX to investigate the ownership of the bridge and potential timelines and options for moving forward. Up next, 3 members of the Pairpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee presented their findings from recent surveys alongside several proposals for moving forward. The committee had conducted 2 surveys, the most recent of which showed 3 design concepts and had 570 respondents in just under 2 weeks. The survey results had a clear winner in the Shady Bosque design.
So you'd enter the park kind of in the middle of the parcel, where there would be a low retaining wall, potentially with a entrance sign or something sort of identifying where you are in a sense of place, and perhaps a couple of benches. And then you're quickly brought to number 2 on the plan, which is the sloped walk.
To learn more about this process and the surveys, check out our previous meeting minute on the Pairpoint Park Advisory Committee's recent meetings. At the June 30th meeting, the committee had 4 asks for the Select Board.
First request is regarding the concept and theme. We would be seeking your approval of the Shady Bosque as the concept, as the vision for Pairpoint Park, along with the theme of local flora and fauna, history of the river, and environmental protection. These are in order of kind of what we need to move forward.
After a brief discussion with questions related to potential dog access for the park and fundraising or budget timelines, the board then decided to authorize the committee to move forward with their items and work with the town manager's office to draft a CIP item for the budget. To watch the full discussion on these and other items from June 30th, you can watch the full meeting on Exeter TV from the Minutes and Agendas page of the town website, exeternh.gov/meetings. The board's next meeting will be on Monday, July 14th. See you there.
Thank you, everyone.